Disappearances happen every day, but some vanishings are different. The people we were about to meet didn't just disappear. They left behind words that were unsettling, cryptic, or outright terrifying. Tonight, we explore 4 chilling stories of people who vanished after saying something strange. These are the kinds of stories that stick with you, long after the lights are out. They're not just about missing people. They're about the haunting echoes they leave behind. What did they know? What were they trying to tell us? Each tale is a puzzle with a missing piece, a mystery that starts with a few simple, yet bone-chilling words. From frantic late-night calls to eerie whispers in a quiet office, these last words are the only clues we have. So, settle in and prepare yourself as we delve into the true mysteries of people who spoke their final words, and then simply vanished. Our first story takes us to an ordinary suburban home on an otherwise quiet night. A man, let's call him Alex, had a close friend named Mark. They'd known each other since childhood and spoke regularly. But one night, the phone rang long after midnight. Mark answered, his voice groggy with sleep, only to be met with the panicked, trembling voice of his best friend. Alex was whispering, his words rushed and filled with a terror Mark had never heard before. He said, "Mark, listen to me. This is important. If you hear from me tomorrow, don't answer." Mark, confused and alarmed, tried to ask what was wrong, but Alex just repeated the warning, his voice cracking with fear, before the line went dead. Mark tried calling back, but the phone went straight to voicemail. He spent the rest of the night tossing and turning, his mind racing. The next day, he drove to Alex's house, a knot of dread tightening in his stomach. The house was locked up tight. Alex's car was gone from the driveway. But inside, through the windows, everything looked normal. Our next story is about a young woman, a bright and ambitious artist named Clara. She lived alone in a small, cozy apartment filled with her paintings and books. Her friends described her as vibrant and full of life, which is why what happened next was so shocking. One afternoon, her friend Sarah stopped by to return a book. When Clara didn't answer the door, Sarah used the spare key Clara had given her, thinking she might be deeply focused on her art. And why would they be coming for Clara? She called the police immediately. Investigators searched the apartment, but just like with Alex, there were no signs of a break-in or a struggle. All of Clara's belongings were there, untouched. It was as if she had left voluntarily, but that note suggested something far more sinister. Friends and family were questioned, but no one knew of anyone who would want to harm her. She had no known enemies. No secret life they were aware of. She was just gone. The note was the only clue, a cryptic and terrifying message from a woman who vanished into thin air, leaving behind a warning that still haunts her loved ones. Now, we head deep into the wilderness for a story that began as a simple camping trip among friends. A group of 4 longtime buddies decided to spend a weekend hiking and camping in a remote national forest. On the second night, as they sat around a crackling campfire sharing stories and laughing, one of them, a man named Ben, grew unusually quiet. The mood shifted as he stared intensidad into the flames. He then looked at his friends, his expression serious, and said something that silenced them all. "If anything happens to me, remember what I said tonight." His friends were confused. They asked him what he meant, if he was feeling all right. He just shook his head and said, "Just remember." He didn't elaborate, and the rest of the evening was tense and awkward. Later that night, while everyone was asleep in their tents, Ben seemingly got up and wandered off. When his friends woke up the next morning, his tent was empty. His sleeping bag was still inside, but Ben was nowhere to be found. They called his name, searched the immediate area, but there was no response. Panicked, they hiked back to civilization and alerted the park rangers. A massive search party was organized. For days, they scoured the dense woods, using dogs and helicopters. They found absolutely no trace of Ben. No footprints, no torn clothing, not a single sign. The only thing they discovered was a strange, unnatural pattern of disturbed leaves deep in the forest, far from the campsite. It wasn't a shape they recognized, and no one could explain it. Ben was never seen again. He walked into the woods and vanished, leaving behind only a haunting instruction and an inexplicable pattern on the forest floor. Our final story takes place in the most mundane of settings, an office building. A man named David worked as an accountant in a large firm. He was quiet, kept to himself, and was known for being incredibly reliable. One Tuesday, as the workday was ending, he approached a co-worker, Lisa, who sat at the desk next to him. He leaned in and whispered, his voice low and strange, "You won't see me again, but I'll be watching." Lisa was taken aback, unsure if he was joking. She managed a nervous laugh and asked what he meant, but David just gave her a faint, unsettling smile and walked away. That was the last time anyone at the office saw him. Hours later, he vanished from his own apartment building. The building's security footage captured him entering the lobby and getting into the elevator, heading up to his floor. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. The CCTV camera in the elevator showed it going up, but the doors never opened on his floor. In fact, the elevator ES internal logs showed it traveled to his floor and then straight back down to the lobby without the doors ever opening. When the doors finally did open on the ground floor, the elevator was empty. He was gone. Police checked his apartment. It was locked from the inside and nothing was out of place. He had disappeared somewhere between the lobby and his floor, in a sealed metal box. David was never seen again. His cryptic, haunting final words still send a shiver down the spine of everyone who knew him. What did he mean he'd be watching? And how could a person just vanish from a moving elevator? These vanishings leave us with far more questions than answers. They echo in the void left behind, a permanent and unsolvable riddle. Which of these stories disturbed you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.